What's up, viewers? Welcome to Autobuff. This is a channel created with an intention to help all viewers who owns an automobile. This is the first attempt to create a YouTube content, so please bear with me. The intention of this YouTube channel is to ensure that you all have a safe, economical, and a pleasure driving experience. Being a first attempt, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of error. Please share your feedback. We'll definitely work on them. So, having set the context, let's get into today's content. On these rainy days, I'm sure you have seen a lot of scooters and bikers who have met with accidents, and that's the reason I really wanted to make this video, to educate our viewers on what causes these falls predominantly and how could you avoid it. I had personally been in one where I was driving at 20 kilometers per hour speed and I just wanted to slow down. I held the brakes and I skidded and I had a terrible fall. And so I was really surprised and wanted to know how this could have happened. And when I dug deep into it, I really knew what had happened and how could I prevent it. And that's the reason I wanted to make this video, to educate you, my viewers, to ensure that you don't have a fall and have a safe and pleasant trip each time. So we all experienced it. I've experienced it, but I'm sure you should know why this is happening and how could you prevent it. So the culprit here is a technology called CBS or COMBI brakes. There are various companies calling it in different ways. Since 2018, most of the scooters in India have been equipped with the CBS and COMBI brake. Don't confuse CBS with ABS. ABS is an amazing technology, especially for wet roads. But CBS, I think it's crap. What it actually does is just holds both the front brake and the back brake together, which I think is really not the right braking solution for an Indian road, especially during wet conditions. When you were a kid, I'm sure when you're learning to how to pedal a cycle, so a lot of people would have taught you that don't apply front brakes, always apply rear brakes, especially if it's going to be a sandy or a muddy road. So that's exactly what I was told in my childhood, and what's happening today is exactly the opposite. And these are the reasons that most of them have a fall, which I've personally witnessed, and I really want to ensure that this doesn't happen to any of you. So having said that, let's understand how the CBS or the COMBI brake works. So it's a pretty simple technology where you have a device called an equalizer. So equalizer can be custom tuned. It's a mechanical device where it's connected to two cables, which is the brake cables, the front wheel brake cable and the rear wheel brake cable. So when you press your rear brakes, so instead of just pulling the rear brake cable, just like how other ordinary bikes work, so it also pulls the front brake cable together. So this level of tension of the front brake cable can be adjusted, which is predominantly done during your regular service intervals basis your brake wear. The team would calibrate the equalizer, but generally when you press the rear brakes, both your front and rear brake is activated. So that's the technology of CBS. CBS stands for centralized braking system, and Honda calls it as COMBI brakes, Vespa, TVS calls it as CBS. So but the technology is the same. It's pretty simple technology, and so this technology is a curse when you drive in dirty roads, especially when it's raining. So what do we do if we have this technology, and how can you ensure that you have a safe trip? So we have all understood what CBS is all about, and I've already called out. So this technology is definitely not a great technology, something that really needs to be mandated. After all, if you need the front brakes, you can pull the front brakes when it's required, especially when it's going to be a wet, dirty road. I would never use the front brakes, so it's always better to use your rear brakes and just use it's called a bite of a brake, so you can just bite the front brakes a little bit if you need an additional stopping power. Especially if it's going to be without ABS, I would never ever touch the front brakes if it's going to be a wet, dirty road, either during a rain or post a rain. So having said that, so what do we do now? Right? So Either you can adjust your equalizer, as I said earlier. So you have it's a mechanical device where you can adjust the equalizer to ensure that there is very minimal or no front brake at all when you press the rear brakes, right? So I had personally disabled CBS in my scooter, which has been driven by my wife. So I had a fall in it, and so I knew what has gone wrong. I immediately took it to a nearby dealer, had the CBS disconnected, meaning the equalizer was the front brake cable connected to the equalizer was totally disengaged, so that when I press the rear brakes, it's just the rear brakes, and I press the front brakes, it's just the front brakes. So that could be done. So you can do it in your dealer, or you can just go to a normal mechanic, spend 50-100 rupees and do it. It's just a 10 minutes job. All you need is two 10mm screwdrivers, and 10mm 12mm basis the design. But it's just a 2 minutes job. Anyone can do it. If you're inexperienced, brake being a critical component of any vehicle, just reach out to your dealer or a local mechanic and ensure that you disconnect it, or ensure there is a very minimal front brake during the CBS or a or combi brakes that is enabled. So team, thank you so much for hearing out to the whole video. I'm assuming that this video is really helpful, and for especially for beginners who have just bought a two-wheeler, especially a motor scooter or a scooter. Just ensure that you share this video, and so they benefit out of it. And I hope there's significant reduction in the number of falls people have on wet roads using this technology. And thanks again for watching. Please free to like, share and subscribe this video. And if there is any suggestions, recommendations you would like to share, please drop in an email to autobuffindia@gmail.com. I'll be more than happy to help you out. Thank you, team.